Hey, hope you're doing well. This is Adam again. Wanted to create another video on M&A, specifically tracking your deal flow using a spreadsheet, very simple stuff, and I think a lot of people are missing out on this stuff. So I'm going to share my screen and get into the video and show you how to manage your deal flow and how to organize it. Uh, so you're probably going to be able to see my screen in a second and you're going to see a few different columns and a few different important things. So the first thing you want to really have in front of you all the time you're looking at deals is you want to see the listing link that you got from a broker or some sort of sim link that you got from a broker or some sort of deal info link that you got from a broker so that way you can click it and just remind yourself what this deal is about. Because sometimes you're going to forget, you're going to look at a lot of different businesses and you're going to need to know it. Location is fairly important. You want to immediately remind yourself, okay, so is this close to me? Is this a little bit further away from me? So you get context on that. Contact information. It's important for you when you're going for applications, for you're applying for deals or listings, that you source the contact information of these listings. A lot of the times you just see a direct phone number on on BizBuySell or other websites where you see some broker profile. What you need to do is you need to be able to identify what the company is of that particular firm, what are additional emails and phone numbers they have on that company, who's that person who's representing the deal. Maybe you have a completely different phone line that you can call in than the one on the website. Maybe the one on the website he's not as active on, and maybe he has a different even line or extension that you can get into and you can call them. You can also get their LinkedIn channel and kind of like call them, email them, text them, and then connect to them on LinkedIn so they can see you face to face as a buyer and what you're trying to do. That's a very good process to get in front of these people. Now, the next number you really need is average seller's discretionary earnings last 3 years. So the reason you need the average, you need to calculate it based on financials you're going to get from a sim, is because you really want to know if a business has been stable last 3 years instead of looking just 2025 or 2024, maybe in 2025 it had an uptick number and the revenue and profit is high and they're valuing the business based on that only. Well, it's not a very accurate way of valuing a company in most cases because you need to look at the last typically 3, 4 years at a company. The reason you do that is because when you're getting lending, a lot of these lenders will look at that to give you a loan to buy this company. So you need to look at deals from the same perspective as some of these commercial lenders. Otherwise, if you're going to do it in a different way, how they want it, the value is always going to be hyperinflated, and there's going to be risks because maybe the company wasn't as stable 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So you always want to calculate this and put it in your spreadsheet. So every time you're looking at all your deals, you know this is the average. This is roughly what we're going to be working with last 3 years. Based on that, you can roughly identify a purchase price. Another important thing you need to solve when you're dealing with deals is you need to know they have some sort of manager or management or some sort of operator or some sort of manager in place that could help you with running the day to day. If they don't have that, you essentially say no, it doesn't have it, or yes, it has it. Debt service coverage is very important. So you need to roughly have some sort of model as far as how you will close most of these deals, and you will assume that financial model within the spreadsheet. And then once you're going to assume a financial model, let's say you put 10% down, you get 90% from the bank or 80% from the bank, and then you do 10% seller finance. Well, within that financial model, you want to calculate roughly what the debt service is on this deal. And the reason you do this on all the deals you find interesting is because you want to see if it's a financially feasible deal. If it is, you're just going to put in a number. You're going to maybe color that with a green, and you're going to know, hey, this it has 1.6 debt service cover ratio. Okay, so it's fairly good. I can go and engage with these guys a little bit more. I can maybe send an LY. Of course, you want to have an NDA signed as well. And then if the debt service is fairly good, you can send an LOI, which is a contract you're going to write to send to some of these sellers or brokers. Then you can have it either you got it accepted or you didn't. Another question you should ask yourself is, can you operate it yourself, or do you need to source an operator if they don't have that in-house, or maybe it's a weakness they have. Is that a possibility? Are you going to need to solve that? Because that's a big thing that a lot of people are going to get into, and some of the buyers are not going to be able to actually operate the company, and that's going to be an objection later for either when you're raising money from lenders, or you're raising money from investors, or just in general, the seller is going to be less confident in you. Now, this is one of the most important things. It's the notes from a lot of different parties you're going to talk to. So when you're doing a deal, you're talking to the broker in most cases and the seller, and then you're talking to the banks, you're talking to accountants and lawyers. So every time you're talking to a party on a call, on a Zoom call, or phone call, try to take some basic notes about the conversation. Nowadays, you can do this with AI. It can take notes. It can just recap all your notes, and then you can have some sort of notes from a call. I mean, you would just plug and play the basics of this. You could go into ChatGPT and say, "Hey, I just need one sentence of all the notes from this call." Just plug it in into this spreadsheet. Why? Because next time you're gonna forget about it, and you're going to get back to this deal. Somebody's going to reply about this deal, and you're going to need to understand what happened and how you can maybe restructure things and what their pain points were, what their challenges were, what specifically the accountant said, what specifically the lawyer said, what feedback the lender gave you as far as weaknesses and challenges and so forth. So by you having all these things ready to go, you're just always going to be a better buyer. You're always going to be able to navigate the market better. Everybody's going to view you more professionalized. All the data's in front of you. You're acting from a place of data and being organized instead of just being scattered. So hopefully this was helpful. If you want to get access to this, most likely you could just directly message me on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, I need your free simple CRM on M&A." And I'll just set over access to that spreadsheet, and that way you can just kind of keep using it and you can customize it to yourself eventually. A lot of our buyers have used a very similar process, maybe with additional columns or maybe less columns, but at the end of the day, it's all about you being organized and inputting all this information. Because if you have this and you're not using it, it's not a sell. If you're using it, you're really going to be able to organize all this process. So let me know if this was useful for you, and um, if you want to get more value out of it, then just directly message me on LinkedIn. Thanks.